Hi, welcome back. This is Fred Kahl, the creator of Zillij Islamic Geometry Studio. This is a free software that's on the web. It is used for creating sacred geometry patterns using symmetry, geared towards vector output. So you can create in this program, export SVG artwork for use in other softwares. The program is located on the web at fredini.linearlife.com/zillig. I'll throw the link in the comments as well. This is the third video in a sequence of videos walking through features in the software. Today we're going to be looking at the Select Move tool and the Layers palette. So I want to point out just one fine point about working with the Select tool here, and that is that straight lines and circles are not handled exactly the same way in the geometry engine. So with straight line, with circular lines, round circles, a single click will actually highlight a circle, whereas a double click will highlight an entire layer. So within this layer, we have some line segments and we have this circle. One nice thing, circles are used a lot in setting up construction lines. So if you do select just a circle, you can hit the delete key and remove that. Now the cut lines tool does work on circles to remove segments of lines, so that could still be used. But if you really just want to delete it, you can select using the select tool. Otherwise, we double click and we're selecting an entire layer. So we can also deselect by either clicking the background or clicking this X right here. So this is select and this is clear selection. A number of these icons appear in the layers palette. So we can select a layer from the layers palette. We can show and hide it. We can lock it so it can't be edited, and we can duplicate or delete it. Those icons are somewhat redundantly located under the left column where we're doing our work with selection. Right now we're going to look at these three links here. So there's a link for scaling, rotation, and mirroring or flipping. When we select a layer, there's sort of shortcuts. So I might be working with the draw tool, but I can actually quickly flip or rotate a layer while I'm working in here as well. So that's another way of working. So let's actually start. I'm going to use these hot links in the selection box, and we'll start with scaling. So when you click on that, you're prompted, click the scale center on the layer. So we're working around the origin. We're completely symmetrical. I'm going to click on that center. It then prompts, click the arm point on the layer. And now it gives me a way of scaling that. Because Zillij works with snapping, we can kind of like snap to sort of key places in our geometry, including this point. So that's a really quick, easy way to scale just one design element. I'm going to undo that, and let's look also at rotate. So again, I'm going to just double click this layer. We'll look first at rotate by angle. So again, we're prompted to click a snap point in the center, and then enter how many degrees. What if I want to do 22.5 degrees? Let's see how that looks. And you see that rotated right between these two in line with that. So that's another way of doing rotation. There's also, if we look over here, we can specify with a slider the number of degrees. There is also this button, rotate and align, which has a shortcut above the bounding box. I'm going to select that now. We're prompted to click to select the center, click to pick a point to lock rotation on, and now I can just draw my cursor to any of these points here. So if I want to snap it back to its original orientation, I can do that. All right. We're going to look at one other feature within Select. We haven't looked at how we move layers, but when a layer is selected, we can actually move it. And I always advise the best way to do it is grabbing a point on our design, especially if we are wanting to align it to somewhere else in our design. So I'm going to just click on this point and I'm going to drag it up to that place right there where it intersects the petal of this rosette. Now, there's a feature that's a little bit hidden here under the select rotate tool. There's this button right here, orbit, and we're going to use that orbit. Our rosette has 8 petals to it, so we're dealing with 8-fold symmetry. So I'm going to make 8 copies of that. Pick center and orbit. So I'm going to click the center, and now we have 8 copies of that star. So that's the orbit feature. All right. We're going to, let's turn off visibility on this layer. And this time, let's turn on visibility of this layer. So I've made a copy of this rosette, and we're going to play with what can we do with that. So we're going to, we can select either here or here. We'll select the flip layer, and we'll see there's some options. So, we can do either an H flip or a V flip right out of the bat. Okay. So that's a super quick and easy thing, but we can also do this at various angles. So, we could do a flip at a 45-degree angle, flipping the layer, and look, it's brought it back up here. A 60-degree, I don't think would serve us that well here. If we did 180, again, we're getting back into this idea of V flip and H flip. So if I wanted to make a grid of 5 rosettes, what I would do is I would duplicate this layer. I would do a V flip, and let's just make it easier. I'm going to shift click on these 2 layers. I'm going to merge those 2, and I'm going to duplicate that, and we'll just do an H flip, and we've now created this grid of 5 rosettes. So that's a really useful way of working. You might have some weird situation where you don't want to do a flip exactly perfectly for some reason. So there is this other link right here, define flip axis. So the way that works is you're going to be prompted to select 2 points. So I'm going to pick a weird axis just to see what happens. So if instead of flipping like perfectly horizontally, what if we flip between these 2 points right here? And so we can quickly just define a flip axis based on different points in our design. So that's define flip axis. And that is select and the layers palette. One other thing with the layers palette, just I might have mentioned this earlier. If we have lines for construction, we can also play with the opacity of these. So if we have construction lines that are making it hard for us to see our design, we can do that. There's also a little hidden thing down here, reference image. I'm going to open that and let's just pick a reference image. I think I have an image here. Let's try that. Is that, yeah, okay. So we can actually place an image in our uh, in our uh, in our file for us to kind of like, say we're trying to figure out a design, we can actually place it and let's zoom in a little bit right here. So we want to try to get this image here, and that could give us something to kind of trace after. So that's another way of using layers. We can give that trace image some transparency. We can lock it so we don't actually accidentally move it. So that's another way that you can use layers to kind of like build designs if you're trying to figure out a historical pattern that's confounding you. And then you can build some layers of construction on top of that. So, all right, that's it for video 3. I'll see you in the next video, in which we are going to look at tiling and finishing, including banding and regions. Happy geometering, and I'll see you there.